Hello everyone! Welcome to our 3-month journey to master 100 basic adverbs in English. This is a daily 5-minute lesson, and by the end, you'll have a great understanding of these important words. It might seem tough at first, but just stick with it. This is my secret technique for leveling up your English. Listening to English explanations will boost your listening skills and vocabulary. Let's get started. Today's adverb is necessarily. Before we dive in, let's start with a quick quiz to see what you already know. Which of these sentences uses not necessarily correctly? 1. This decision does not necessarily mean the project will fail. 2. She does not necessarily enjoy every type of food. 3. He does not necessarily want to work on weekends. Take a moment to think about it. Got your answer? Great. The correct answer is 1. This decision does not necessarily mean the project will fail. In this sentence, not necessarily is used correctly to indicate that something isn't always true. The second sentence, she does not necessarily enjoy every type of food, is close, but it's less clear in showing something that might not always be true. The third sentence, he does not necessarily want to work on weekends, is incorrect because the sentence structure doesn't clearly communicate that working on weekends isn't always something he wants. So what does necessarily mean? In one word, it means for sure in positive sentences, or not always in negative sentences, depending on the context. Now let's talk about how necessarily is used in sentences. When we use necessarily in positive sentences, it tends to mean for sure or as a result. For example, following this plan will necessarily lead to success means that if you follow the plan, success is something that must happen. It's a sure thing. However, this usage is more formal and is often found in documents or written communication rather than in daily conversation. On the other hand, necessarily is used more often in negative sentences, where it often means not always. For example, this doesn't necessarily mean it's going to rain, suggests that just because the weather forecast says rain, it doesn't always happen. So, the outcome isn't certain. Imagine you're thinking about something that happens for sure, like the sun rising. That's the feeling you get when necessarily is used in a positive sentence. Now think about something that might not always be true, like being rich and happy. That's the feeling when necessarily is used in a negative sentence. Let's look at some examples in context. Imagine you're discussing the outcome of a plan. You say, this solution necessarily leads to the desired result. This means the plan will definitely give you the result you want. Now think about giving advice. You might say, being rich doesn't necessarily make you happy. Here, you're advising that having money doesn't always bring happiness. Let's compare necessarily with similar words like inevitably and automatically. Inevitably means something that is certain to happen, something that cannot be avoided. Imagine talking about things that are bound to occur. You might say, he will inevitably face the consequences of his actions. This means the results of what he's done are certain and unavoidable. Automatically means something that happens by itself without effort. Think about automatic actions, like when you say, the lights turn on automatically when it gets dark. Here, the lights turn on by themselves when it's dark, without anyone having to do anything. Now it's your turn. In the comments, write a sentence using necessarily. I'll check and give feedback. That's all for today's lesson on necessarily. Remember, practice makes perfect. Keep listening, keep practicing, and you'll see great improvement. See you tomorrow for another adverb lesson. Bye for now.